Thank you for attending this webinar for the Engineering Plus program. You'll often hear me refer to the program as E+. My name is Otha Barrow, and I will be the presenter for this presentation. My colleague Chris Anderson will also be joining us through the interactive Q&A box. As we go through our presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the Q&A box, and Chris will do his best to answer them for you. If you would like to find more information about the E+ program after this presentation, you can consult our website at www.colorado.edu/E+. With that, let's begin. As I mentioned, my name is Otha. I'm the academic advisor for all E+ students. So if you have any questions about the program before or after you arrive at CU, please feel free to direct those to me at otha.barrow@colorado.edu. As your academic advisor, you can think of me as your Costco or your Amazon.com. I am essentially your one-stop shop for all your student needs. Once you are actually on campus, you'll find lots of opportunities for meeting students, learning all the fun places to go and things to do. That's really more of the social side of life at the university. It's an important side because without that outlet, it's very difficult to live a balanced life. Some of you entering CU this fall will be coming from a larger high school and therefore may find adjusting to campus life to be fairly simple. For many others, however, you may be coming from a smaller school and may find CU to be a bit intimidating in the beginning. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Just remember, when you come to the university, you'll already have a built-in network of resources. We'll go more in depth about that shortly. Where I come into play is in the realm of helping you navigate university resources. As your advisor, I'll be able to help you find things like funding and/or research opportunities, internship resources, finding communities or activities, navigating university policies and regulations, course selections, and the like. Likewise, I can also help you navigate approaching faculty members for any number of reasons. During your tenure at the university, the relationships you develop with your faculty members will be invaluable. They will be great resources for helping you discover your particular passions and direction, for letters of recommendation, or just general mentorship. Two very important faculty members you'll encounter in the E+ program are Drs. Derek Riemann and Dr. Jackie Sullivan. They are the co-directors for the E+ program. We are very fortunate to have them. In a university this size, you may be hard-pressed to find faculty members who are as dedicated to their students and their student success as these two. If you have any questions or problems while in the program, they're always available to try and help figure out ways to resolve them. As this is a webinar primarily about academic advising, let's talk about how students actually get advising help. As I mentioned earlier, CU is a large Tier 1 research university. There are over 30,000 members of the student body comprised of undergraduates, post-bacs, graduate students, and non-degree seeking students. Because of this, it's not sustainable for academic advisors to take the initiative to outreach to every student. The expectation is that once you've matriculated into the university, you are considered an independent, fully functioning adult. You will know better than anyone what you need. Our expectation is that should you have questions or concerns, you will take the initiative to reach out for help. Again, there are ample resources at your disposal while at the university, but if you don't let us know that you need help, you may not be able to take full advantage of their benefits. In the College of Engineering and Applied Science in particular, we do require students to meet with their academic advisor at least once each semester before they are permitted to register for the following term. Our hope is that you will meet with your advisor, or in some instances, advisors, more than the required once per semester, but that's not compulsory. Oh, sorry about that. I'm just looking at something from Chris. Okay. In order to meet with your advisor, you'll need to access your MyCU Hub student account by going to www.mycuhub.colorado.edu. Once there, you can find a helpful guide on navigating this platform by clicking on the short helpful guide about MyCU Hub for Students link shown here. You'll log in with your identity key and password. Okay. Let's go. All right, once in your MyCU Hub account, you'll see a couple of things. At the top left corner of this page is where you'll see the photo you've uploaded for your student ID, just a little assurance that you are looking at your information. And if you give me just a second, I want to make sure that something is actually working the way it is supposed to. Let's see. This here. All right. Let's see. Got that, and all right. So sorry about that. So below your picture, you'll see at number 1, you'll find your student success team. The composition of this team may vary depending on the student. Every student will have at least one academic advisor. If you've elected to pursue a minor or several minors or a second major or even an additional degree, you may see an additional individual with whom you'll meet to discuss that particular component of your educational experience. If you are part of a special program, you may see an advisor for that program as well. Examples would be the Gold Shirt program or the Student Academic Success Center. Number 2 shows the decision tree where you will be able to get the appropriate team member or individual for your current inquiry. Number 3 is where you'll find information about your current academic standings. You'll see how many credit hours you've completed for your upper division requirements, the total number of credits you've completed up to the present moment. You'll also find your cumulative GPA in numeric as well as graphical representation. Here at number 4, you'll find your course history listed by semester, the grades you've earned in those courses and their corresponding number of credit hours. Number 5 shows you any upcoming or past appointments you have or have had with a member of your success team. Number 6 shows links that will take you to 2 very important resources with which you'll become intimately familiar. The degree audit link will take you to a resource you will use every semester to ensure you're staying on track to fulfill all of your degree requirements. And the MyCU link will take you to a platform you will use to register for classes, pay your student bill, access your schedule, request transcripts, and so on and so forth. Number 7 will show you your current degree plan. This resource is helpful, for example, if you have declared a minor or have a second degree, you'll be able to see that those components of your educational experience are actually listed correctly. All right. And okay. All right. Focusing on scheduling an appointment with your advisor, when you're looking at the decision tree, if you select the Meet with a Member of My Success Team and click Next, you'll be taken to a link to your Success Team member's calendar. When you click that link, you'll see the members of your team in this corner. Okay, why is this not working? There we go, in that corner. Perfect, great. The colors around their picture will correspond to the appointments listed in the calendar. In this instance, let's say you wanted to meet with Laura here. Laura, you wanted to meet with Laura and talk about internship opportunities, studying abroad, and transfer credits. Well, this is probably going to take a while. So you'd want to look through the times Laura has on her calendar and select the time that works best for you. You don't need to contact Laura first to see if it's okay to take the appointment or ask if she's available. If you see a time on the calendar that matches the color assigned to Laura, she is expecting to meet with someone at that point. She doesn't know who that someone will be just yet. In this instance, it will be you. Lucky you. When you book the appointment, it will show up on Laura's calendar and she'll be expecting to see you at that time on that day. In this instance, you also wanted to speak with Ralphie about a note you found in your MyCU Hub account and what it means. Well, that's probably going to be a pretty quick and simple discussion, probably between 5 or 10 minutes at most. Well, in this case, it wouldn't really be necessary to book a full 30-minute appointment for such a quick question. In this instance, you may just want to come by Ralphie's drop-in hours on Monday, sometime between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. For drop-in visits, you don't need to schedule those or let your advisor know in advance. Your advisor has already committed to being available for all students on their roster, as well as any other student at the university, on a first-come, first-served basis during that time. So just stop by. You don't need to call, you don't need to email, text, tweet, anything. Just show up. Now, of all the times Laura has listed on her calendar this week, you may find that none match your particular schedule. If that's the case, you can always click the next arrow and see Laura's schedule for the following week that you can see here. You can then take one of those appointments. Once you've found the time that works best for your life, you will click on that time slot and you'll get a dialog box shown here at number 6. Here you'll leave a brief note for Laura, letting her know what you want to discuss. Inputting this information will give Laura the opportunity to research the information she may need in order to help you to the best of her abilities during your meeting. A day or two prior to your scheduled appointment, the MyCU Hub portal will send you a reminder that you have an upcoming meeting. If things have changed and you can no longer make your appointment, you should always log back into your MyCU account, click on that appointment, and cancel it. If you know that you won't be able to make an appointment, please be sure to cancel so that that time slot can reopen for another student. When you log into the calendar system, if you see times on the calendar that are grayed out, so fortunately here you don't see any that are gray, but sometimes you may. Those grayed out appointments are not available. Someone has already booked that time. Again, if you have any questions about the scheduling system, please remember Chris is available to answer those questions through the Q&A chat function. So let's now look at where you are and where you should be heading. At this point, there are a couple of things you should have already done. You should have already completed the math readiness exam. You should have completed your online experience through the MyCU Info portal, and you should have signed up for a registration enrollment window. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to take care of those things as soon as you can. At this point, if you haven't seen it already, you should be seeing a few classes show up on your fall schedule. Those classes are put there based on the results of your math readiness exam. If you have not yet taken it, your schedule may not reflect the courses you were expecting to see. It's important that you get your math readiness exam done as soon as possible, as some of the initial courses you'll need are math dependent. We'll go more into this shortly, as well as what a first semester may look like. But in the near future, you should be able to start registering for the remainder of your fall classes during your selected enrollment window. In August, you'll get ready to come to CU and attend the engineering launch. Okay, so let's talk about your degree and schedules. So the E+ program is a complex major. With our program, we have 6 different emphases. Those are architectural, aerospace, civil, electrical, environmental, and mechanical engineering. We also have about 20 different concentrations from which our students will choose to pair with their emphasis. That means in E+, there is a possibility of a roughly 120 unique degree combinations. This gives our students the flexibility to customize their educational experience to fit their interests. There's also a major design emphasis in E+, which separates this degree from all other majors. E+ students take a projects-based course every year of their 4-year degree. As you are considering your degree, you'll want to determine which emphasis is best for you. While it's not imperative that you figure this out immediately, it is important that you make a decision sooner rather than later for some emphases. Here we're looking at the mechanical emphasis. This is a flow chart for what that academic progress will typically look like. Both the mechanical and aerospace emphases are a bit more prescriptive than other emphases. You can see here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or everywhere else, you can see by these arrows that many of the courses are tied to another course. They are not accessible without first completing a different course, a prerequisite as we call it. So if you look at the second semester of the junior year here, you'll see that for the data analysis course, this MSIN 3047, you'll have several prerequisite courses. Without those courses, you won't be allowed to take the data analysis course. So what does that mean? Well, let's look at it a little more closely. Here we see a writing requirement. There are no prerequisites for this course in particular, so you can take this course at any point prior to doing your data analysis course. And we'll come back to the writing course a little bit later. Here, you'll see in the second semester of the sophomore year, a linear algebra and differential equations course. Here, you have to have completed at least Calculus 2 prior to taking the differential equations, or DiffEQ as we like to call it. There is also a Calculus 3 requirement, but that is not a prerequisite to DiffEQ. So you don't have to take that immediately after Calculus 2, but it may make more sense to simply follow the math sequence and complete it than to break it up. The information you acquire in Calc 3 may be applicable to one of your other courses. Let's say the thermodynamics course listed here, for example. So it would be better for you to take it sooner rather than to do it later, even though nothing really hinges on the completion of Calculus 3 after Calculus 3. So if we think about this, if you are in your second semester of your junior year and you have not yet completed all of the prereqs that correspond to these arrows here, you won't be able to take the data analysis course. And if you aren't able to complete the data analysis course by the start of your senior year here, then you won't be able to take your Senior Projects 1 course in the fall. This course, the reason this is so important is that the Senior Projects 1 and the Senior Projects 2 courses are semester dependent. They're only offered in the fall and spring, respectively. That means if you are not able to get into either of those courses in their corresponding semester, you will automatically add an additional year to your degree path. But don't panic. As long as you're meeting with your student success team, especially your advisor, each semester, the likelihood of this happening is significantly reduced. So now we're looking at the electrical emphasis. You can see here that there are far fewer arrows. This emphasis offers a lot more flexibility. there are obviously the math project, the math sequencing, as well as the projects course sequencing. But there are fewer constraints on accessing these higher level electrical elective courses. In this case, once a student has completed their Introduction to Circuits course here, this ESIN 2250, that is really the last major prerequisite outside of the senior projects capstone courses here. This is basically going to be the same idea for the architectural, civil, and environmental emphases. So again, it's not imperative that you determine which emphasis you want to pursue at this point, but you should be meeting with your advisor early on in your first semester to talk about your options so that you are proceeding as informed as possible. We'll talk a little bit now about your scheduling as it pertains to your math readiness assessment. If you look here, we have a couple of different emphasis tracks. As you can see in each of these different degree tracks, this Gen 3830 is a supplemental math course is listed throughout. If you've placed into Calculus 1 or above, however, this course is not appropriate for you. You would simply work with your advisor to replace this course with some other technical elective. So in that instance, you would look to sign up for your appropriate calculus course, your Projects 1 course, your science requirement, and perhaps a humanities and social sciences elective. If you've placed into pre-calculus or earlier, you would look to sign up for your appropriate math course, be that pre-calc or whatever the course prior to that might be. You would sign up for your Projects 1 course, maybe your science requirement. Your science piece may be dependent on your math component, and a humanities and social sciences elective. If you're worried about your math placement or feel that you didn't do as well as you could, don't worry. Your initial placement can be changed. If you bring in AP or transfer credit, that will supersede the results of the math readiness assessment, but you should be cautious. There may be a reason you did not place into Calc 1 an advanced section of calculus initially. So just be aware of that. Either way, if you have transfer or AP credits, you should begin seeing that appear in your student portal sometime at the beginning of July if you're not seeing it already. Once that credit comes in, we can always adjust your schedule appropriately. You'll also have an opportunity in August to retake the math assessment in person if you would like. Something that I wanted to point out is similar to how some emphases are more restrictive than others in their prerequisite lineup, some emphases also have very specific flavors of a course, if you will, that would otherwise be commonly shared amongst the different emphases. So here we are talking about computing, for example. It is not mandatory, but some emphasis do have preferred courses. One of those is the computing requirement. There are several different versions of programming courses, as you can see here. There is the Computer Science 1300, the 1320, which is for engineering applications, the chemical engineering computing courses, and an electrical engineering computing course. So for some emphases, the computing component is also a prerequisite, and you may see that with other courses in your particular discipline. So, for example, in the architectural emphasis, you can see here that Chemical Engineering 1310, Introduction to Engineering and Computing, is a prerequisite for the CVN 3227 Probability, Statistics, and Decisions course. In aerospace, the Computer Science 1320 course here is a prereq to the entire third semester sequence. Without completing this course, you will not be allowed to move ahead with any of your emphasis-specific courses. And as we were talking about a second ago, and we'll go into a little bit more here in a second, some of these courses are very semester dependent. So if you aren't able in this particular case to complete your computing course, as well as your physics course and your aerospace course here, then you won't be able to advance to any of these courses, which means you wouldn't be able to advance to these, which in turn basically means you would add an entire second year to your, or additional year to your academic plan. In the electrical emphasis here, the ECIN 1310 is a prereq to the digital logics course. So nothing really hinges immediately on the completion of digital logic, but digital logic is, the ECIN 1310 is specified over any of the other computing courses because there is a MATLAB requirement, and MATLAB is not taught in any of the other computing courses. So for every student in the College of Engineering, it is required that you complete at least 15 credit hours of what we consider, and what I've already referenced a couple of times, to those humanities and social sciences electives. Of those 15 credits, at least 6 must be taken at the junior or senior level. That's 3,000 level or above. If you are bringing in HSS credit, that will fall in place wherever it belongs, if appropriate. You can find a list of HSS courses at the link shown here in this blue box. Every student will also have to take a chemistry course. And again, there are some specific versions that certain emphases will expect, but basically you have to take chemistry. If you are bringing in transfer or AP credit that covers your chemistry requirement, great. Otherwise, you will be at some point taking this course. For engineering students, that would be the Chin 1211 and Chem 1221. Do note that these courses are the equivalent to the General Chemistry 1 and Lab, as well as 3/4 of the General Chemistry 2 and Lab courses rolled into one semester, so they are a bit more rigorous. So every student is required to complete a writing course as well. If you are bringing in writing credits, unfortunately, those will not fulfill your writing requirement. Engineering has a very specific writing requirement. So don't worry, that writing credit that you may have will probably fall into one of these other general elective requirements. So not a big worry. Therefore, you have one of these specific writing requirements to fulfill, or writing courses to fulfill that writing requirement. One thing to note here is that this Humanities Engineering 1010 course is only available in your first year. So if you elect not to take your writing course in your first year, then you can still do any of these, just not this specific course. As mentioned earlier, when talking about the senior projects courses, some classes are semester specific. When you meet with your advisor each semester, they'll be sure to help you plan out your current as well as anticipate your upcoming semesters to ensure that you are taking the courses you need to avoid that bottleneck situation that occurs if you miss a key course. There are some courses that are restricted to spring only, such as this CVEN 2012, and there are some that are restricted to fall only, such as this thermodynamics course that is offered specifically through the Engineering Plus program, or here this senior capstone project. you'll also see that the capstone projects too is restricted in the spring. At this point, we've addressed a lot of information, and you'll receive still a lot more information from other offices on campus. And I'm sure it's probably like trying to drink from a fire hose at this point, but don't worry. As I said earlier, you won't be experiencing college alone. You will have a team of people working with you so that you're not taking this journey solo. In addition to your success team, there are also numerous resources available at CU, and particularly through the College of Engineering and Applied Science, to help ensure your success. These resources are typically covered by your tuition and student fees, so you should always take advantage of them. Even if you're doing well on your own, it never hurts to have more support, but you have to take the initiative and reach out for assistance. They won't come to you. They don't know where you are. We also have academic coaching that works with students on numerous things, from goal setting to study habits to test preparations or any other number of things. They are fantastic. So if you sometimes feel overwhelmed or anxious or feel like you just need more support, you may want to work with the academic coaches on a more long-term one-to-one support basis. There are also services available on campus for tutoring, for researching, community building, and disability accommodations, just to name a few. Now that you are a little more acquainted with what to expect from the academic advising side of things, let's talk about what's coming next. As mentioned previously, you will begin registering at some point in the near future. If you miss your registration window, you can always reach out to the new student welcome office to sign up for a new registration window. If you are trying to register for courses and are experiencing difficulties, you can always reach out to your success team. For those of you who are declared E+, that will be me. When you are ready to enroll in classes, there are a few tips that may be helpful. The registration system is not necessarily the most intuitive system that you will encounter, but as time progresses, you will get more and more familiar with it. First and foremost, if you visit the link above here, it will take you to the Office of the Registrar's website that gives you step-by-step instructions on some helpful methods for changing your schedule. For instance, if you are in one course and you want to be in a different course, there is the possibility, it's not very likely, but it is possible that when trying to unenroll in the course that is currently on your schedule, but before enrolling in the new course that you would like to get in, that both courses could fill up. This would result in you losing access to either of those courses for that time period. So what is the solution to avoid this happening? There is an option in the system called a swap feature. With this, if you are in one course or one section of a course and you want to be in a different course or a different section of that same course, using the swap feature will only take you out of the course you are currently enrolled in if it knows absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, that it can put you into the other course. Those actions happen simultaneously, so you can make that switch with confidence that nothing will happen and you won't lose your classes that are currently on your schedule. If you want to change a lab section of a course, for instance, but not the corresponding lecture that goes with that lab, because these are often linked together, and we can talk about that more in depth during an advising meeting, you would use the edit function. This will ensure you don't lose your space in your current lecture while trying to find a different lab or recitation that pairs with that course. The one thing to keep in mind is that there may be many instances of a lecture, so, chemistry at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock that have multiple corresponding labs or recitations that go with that. So chemistry 1 has 6 recitations and chemistry 2 has 13. Those lab or recitation sections you would look for would have to match with that particular lecture set. Please be aware that adding courses to your shopping cart does not equate to putting them on your schedule. If you've ever purchased anything online, it's basically the same idea. You first select the courses you want, you then add them to your cart, and once you're ready to commit those to your schedule, you make your final purchase, if you will. You set your schedule by confirming you want to enroll in those classes. Please be aware that you have to do this final step. You have to confirm. If you do not do that final step, you may unknowingly not register for the semester and miss your enrollment window, thinking that you have, when in fact your classes are still sitting in your shopping cart. I don't anticipate anyone at this point having any holds on their account, but I would still strongly encourage you to log into your MyCU Info account or your MyCU Hub to ensure that you don't have any holds. If you do, the hold will indicate what office has placed it, and you would then want to reach out to that particular office to resolve that issue prior to your registration date. Lastly, if you are unsure of your emphasis or even your major, no big deal. It's very simple. You can make any changes to your plans. You can make as many changes as you want, as often as you want. Just check with your advisor to talk about your options. We want to make sure the route you are pursuing is actually the route that is best for you. I would encourage you to start looking around at different resources on campus. One of those would be the Office of the Registrar. I've already mentioned that once. You won't typically have to interact directly with this office that often, but they do have lots of information that will be pertinent to you. One of those things is the academic calendar. Looking at this will show you all of the important upcoming dates, deadlines, holidays, etc. for the academic year. That way you can plan your semester accordingly. Again, check your MyCU Info account to see if you have any holds on your account. If so, be sure to take care of those sooner rather than later. Mark your calendar for your enrollment window. As soon as you can, be sure to sign up for those classes. Remember, you'll be looking to get into classes that the entire incoming population will also be looking to get into. There will be more than enough class space for you to get into the classes that you want. You may not, however, be able to get into the time that you want. So remember, the early bird gets the worm. You'll also want to start running your degree audit. Again, this is where you'll see basically see the entire outline for your degree trajectory. If you haven't identified your specific emphasis and concentration yet, then you will see the general skeletal outline for an engineering degree. And once you've specified your emphasis, then you'll see the full run of your degree requirements. Make sure you have your AP scores and transcripts sent to the Office of Admissions so that they can evaluate those and add them to your student record as needed. And now, if you have any questions that haven't been addressed yet or haven't been addressed thoroughly enough, please feel free to type those away in the Q&A box and we will address those accordingly. So thank you for attending our webinar and enjoy the remainder of your summer. We look forward to seeing you in the fall, and we will stick around for a bit to answer any questions that may exist. Thank you.